Welcome to FedScoop TV and our special series on advancing digital government in the cloud. I'm your host, Wyatt Cash, and we're here today with Guy Cavallo. Guy is the Deputy CIO at the Small Business Administration. Welcome to the program.
Well, thank you, Wyatt.
So Guy, tell us a little bit, you've been actively moving towards the cloud. Tell us how you envision cloud computing and maybe infrastructure as a service and platform as a service, really helping to transform your agency's operations and how you approach IT.
Sure. At SBA, Maria Rote and I are 100% committed to moving to the cloud. Maria's only been there about 6 months. I've been there about 4 months, and I'm happy to announce that yesterday on day 82, we went from starting our cloud infrastructure as a service project to actually having an ATO with no budget, no money. The impact of all of that is that we see from our previous government experiences, the government spending a lot of money buying servers and hardware, overbuying for the data center so that you don't run out of capacity, yet that takes money away from all the program functions. So we really want to go to pay-as-you-go, which the cloud provides us to do the elasticity so that we don't have to overbuy terabytes and terabytes of storage arrays, but have that capacity in real time as SBA grows and we need it. So we've committed that we want to reduce the impact of technology spend in SBA, put more money into the mission and the programs, and the only way to do that is through the cloud. Specifically what we're doing this year is we are taking our data center that's in the SBA headquarters building, and the project that we just finished setting up infrastructure as a service, within about a 9-month period from start to finish, we will be out of the data center business and moving that all with infrastructure. We decided to do infrastructure as a service first. One is to move that data center as quickly as possible. We have failing equipment, end of life coming up very soon, not wanting to invest millions in hardware to move that quickly. But then also under the DHS CDM mandate, we were looking at the hardware investment it would take to do that on premise. And we went back to DHS and asked them, we want to do this in the cloud. We don't want to invest in the hardware, and they gave us the go-ahead. So we're doing infrastructure as a service for those two reasons. One, to put the data center there, but two, to show that we can do CDM in the cloud, again, not having to invest in the hardware and worrying about rebuying the hardware and recap, which all the CFO offices hate that word from a CIO's office. When you schedule a meeting with recap on it, they normally don't like to see that. Mm-hmm. Much prefer a steady state of here's our cost, this is what we have. The other business reasons, the redundancy there of having multiple sites, being able to have disaster recovery or business continuity in real time, and not having to activate a plan, just using the benefits that are in the cloud already. That's exciting to me. I'm used to government agencies having 6-inch binders of here's our business continuity plan, and these services are going to be down for the first 2 months, and these are going to be back in a month, and these will be back in a week. Our customers today expect if there's a disaster that everything will be back tomorrow. Mm-hmm. The only way to do that is with the cloud.
Terrific. Tell me a little, we know that migrating to the cloud is a technology lift at one level, but it's also about change management. How did you go about helping your team make the transition from a change management perspective?
Very important not to treat a cloud migration as a technology project. It really is a people and a process modernization. So we actually spun up 5 teams. Most people, when you start, okay, I need an engineering team to stand up the new cloud, and then we'll work with it. We actually stood up 5 teams so that while there is an engineering team, there is a team specifically working on automating things that we do manually now. There's a team working on the migration plan already from day one, how we do security and operations, and then change management is a key one. Currently, we have a change management program that meets twice a week. Might take a week or so to implement that. We're planning to implement changes in real time in the cloud, so we know that won't work. So again, instead of waiting till we built the cloud to go, oh, how are we going to do this now? We spun up on the first day a team to start looking at our processes and what needs to change. I'm definitely a fan of the other agencies that have already jumped out and done this. DoD has a lot of great cloud material out there. The blank check I gave my team is don't just look at what we're doing today. If you need to blow that up, and DoD or another agency has a better way of how to do change management in the cloud, bring that back to us and just say, this is it. So we're kind of doing it backwards in that we're modernizing our practices for the cloud, and then I'll bring those practices back to the on-premise stuff while we still have on-premise. Most government agencies that have been around as long as the SBA, I think it's harder to rewrite rules and practices that were built in the 60s with today's technology. So they found that refreshing. They thought they have to go line by line and go back to our mainframe days and, okay, this line's still part of our change control, be able to change that to the cloud. So what I started off talking about, it really, if you don't deal with the people side and the process side, your cloud efforts will fail. It's that they're just as important, and that's why we had one engineering team, but then 4 teams that really addressed how to change the way we operate.
Terrific. Talk to me a little bit about the digital transformation aspects of this. How do you see the cloud being able to really help transform or improve the services that the public experiences with your stakeholders, and how do you see that evolving over the next couple of years as you get fully enabled in the cloud?
I think one of the areas that the cloud immediately makes a big impact on any of the systems that the public or our customers deal with is it's very difficult on an on-premise environment to have a development environment, a test environment, and your production environment all stay in sync. I think it's one of our hidden stories of IT. If you talk to CIOs or IT executives that are responsible for that and you ask them, honestly, can you tell me that every single one of those environments matches exactly? Most likely they'll say no. So just trying to get something implemented, you build it in development, you move it to test, it works fine in test, move it to production, it doesn't work because the production environment's not the same of what you built with. In the cloud, because we can clone servers, we're always making sure that we have the right environment. So that is a tremendous benefit by itself. And plus, by cloning, you eliminate having to maintain these different environments. I've already told my team, as we write new contracts for developers to help build, if they're not going to work on the weekends, then on Friday night at 7 o'clock, we're turning the development environment off, and we'll turn it back on Monday morning at 6 a.m. Unless there's an emergency request to build something. And things that you can't do in the data center today, you buy the hardware, it sits there and runs, it eats electricity, it eats up your air conditioning, whether anybody's using it or not. That's really an incredible transformation on the way we operate. The impact, again, on the end users and the citizens is the reliability of the cloud, being able to expand if there's all of a sudden something that requires a massive increase in our website. Couldn't do that on premise. Now we can do it in a matter of seconds in the cloud. So I don't see how you can't go that way. I mean, if you want to deliver better citizen services, 24/7, works on around the clock, without relying on federal employees having to go to a server to reboot it at 2 a.m. after they got called into the office. You just can't do it on premise.
And lastly, given your experience so far, what 1 or 2 things would you change if you could to help accelerate the adoption of cloud computing in government and as you think about moving forward?
Actually, the last year I've seen a lot of changes in the way the vendors are doing with it, and definitely GSA's FedRAMP program, I think, was critical, and they were a big help. But I think we kind of hit a lull after people started seeing that program hit of, okay, while this cloud or this cloud is FedRAMP compliant, for my agency now I need help writing the ATO to actually use that. And talking to other executive, it seems like everybody got stuck there, that we haven't had a good way of if I'm over at SBA or if I'm over at Energy, and I just helped write up an ATO or an authentication package for my cloud. It doesn't seem like we still are sharing that. And so everybody's reinventing the wheel. Like the FedRAMP programs took you to this level, we all need to get to this level, but we're still doing that independently. So I know the Federal CIO Council's working on this, and those are some of the things that we should do as far as sharing. I don't think the vendor community can do anything else. I think they've done their part. I think it's better, it's part of us just doing better on sharing. And then training, just like I talked about on ATOs, I think what I see is every agency is looking at how do I retrain my staff on Agile, on cloud practices, on changing change control. And we're doing all of that independently. We're all repeating the same thing. We don't have a good way of sharing that. We've found a tremendous amount of fabulous training online for free. So I want to share that with the community. Maria Road, our CIO, will do that through the CIO Council. But then, again, does it work its way through to the staff from there? So two different areas, but it's the same theme. I don't think we have a good network internally across the federal government to share these things that just take you over the hurdle of you have a plan, but now you're operational. How do you get the ATO? How do you get the staff trained? I think we can do that a lot better.
Well, Guy, thank you so much for sharing those suggestions and as well as some of the other insights you've learned in making this migration, and congratulations on getting your first big leg up in the cloud, and I look forward to hearing more about how that goes.
Great, we're very excited about it and looking forward to being cloud only.
Terrific. Well, on behalf of FedScoop TV, I'm Wyatt Cash. Thanks for watching.